Hi, I'm Rowan D'Souza. My friends and I recently ventured into the world of learning how to drive. Welcome to
I'm on the road! Yeah!
Come on down to the dawn of the world. Let's take that path through the atmosphere.
I thought they just put out fires. So I knew that they did something to do with car crashes, but I didn't really associate them with car crashes.
We were there to recreate a crash scene. So basically, we were instructed by 3 firemen as to the dangers and what goes into being a fireman, especially during car crashes.
Well, I don't know what really happened, but maybe the driver wasn't paying attention and then looked, and then suddenly there was this huge gas cylinder thing, and maybe the brakes weren't working, or there was something wrong with the engine and it caused it to break into it, and yeah.
I realised I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I killed somebody else in a car accident or injured somebody else in a car accident.
What I realised with driving is that everybody on the road can be a murderer. Everybody has the power to kill somebody else. And that's like really scary. So I'd rather just take the train.
The Fire Academy woke us up to the darker side of driving.
I still like fast cars, loud music, stuff like that, everything. But I don't know, just like drugs, I watched a lot of friends disappear and go a little bit crazy or do stupid in the car and hurt somebody else.
But generally, if they've got seatbelts on, this will be how you find them. If they had no seatbelts on, then they'd probably go through the window.
Well, it's obviously upside down. It could have gone through a red light.
I don't know, maybe like lost control, maybe hit a curb and sort of went on its side and then continued to roll over.
We really just used the forklift to push the vehicle onto its roof, and it was just interesting hearing the young adults say that, yeah, you know, it could have hit this car and could have done this and could have done that.
Look at her foot. Her foot is like it. She would not know.
Now, I don't know if young people are doing it as much nowadays, but definitely in the past, people in the back seat, do they tend to wear their seatbelt as much as people in the front seat? No. And it's really easy to get caught up with it. Oh, it'll be okay. We're not going very far, isn't it? Yeah. So have a look at that and think about next time you're in the back seat with somebody that won't wear their seatbelt. You know, the car's moving one way and the person's moving independently, and she's a dummy and all very flexible, and I can tell you now that people get that flexible when they get smashed around that much. So just think about that for me.
Amongst the emergency service, we noticed that a lot of the trains we're going to now, there's a lot of them, a lot more women, young girls driving behind the vehicles and at fault rather than it just being young guys. We did have somebody say it's more likely to be guys driving, okay? A few years ago, statistically that was right, okay, because guys tended to prefer to drive their girlfriends around. The girls are being far more aggressive and far more reckless driving than what they used to. So they are just as bad as what the guys are on the road.
Girls want to show off just as much as boys. Like, often it does seem to be a display of manliness sometimes to drive faster, and girls don't necessarily want to show they're more manly. But I guess you do want to show off that you can drive.
You can meet a girl and she'll be very passive and very shy, and then she'll be driving somewhere and it's completely different. It's not always a reflection of the character.
You know, I live as recklessly as the next teenager, and even I get moments where I just sort of go, oh, can we sort of back off a bit, mate? I'm not in control, you are, and I don't really trust you that much.
When there's been a collision, it spreads across Facebook like you wouldn't believe. And most of the time, families are finding out via Facebook before the police even get there.
Information can be passed in a matter of seconds from people all over the world. And there's Facebook groups that tell you where the speed cameras are now, and where there's a crash.
It's literally, it's beating the police. The police have the job of notifying the families, and unfortunately, a lot of them are receiving those notifications on Facebook before the police have even told them. And that because the kids are putting up messages, rest in peace, such and such, and then people are getting phone calls.
Come on, Will I Am. Put this baby in drive.
Yeah, not even with a seatbelt.
The crash reenactment started off as a bit of fun.
All rolled into one. You're drunk, you're talking, you're texting, you're racing. As she begins to veer off the road, the passenger reaches over and grabs the steering wheel. The driver takes over and oversteers off the road, crashing the car.
Oh, God, my face.
And passers-by come and see the crash, and they call 911. They call 000.
What is this?
They would call 000.
Hello? There's been a car crash. Come, now. Okay.
I'm pretty sure that the service would probably ask for a bit more detail than that. No, the street address.
Hello, 000. What's the nature of your emergency?
Can I please have firefighters?
Sure thing.
An ambulance?
What's going on?
There's a car crash on 1234 Street.
I think a teenager would come across an accident, they would absolutely panic, they would freak.
Alrighty, so Claire made a phone call into the emergency services. The first question you asked was, Ellie?
What's the nature of the emergency?
So that would be the first question you get asked. So then you need to say you want the fire, ambulance or the police service. So you direct them to all three. Then we're going to ask them what type of incident it is. So then they'll say a car accident, how many people are involved, where the address is. So if it's 123, what was your street?
234 Street.
123 4th Street. So then we need to know the nearest cross, we need to know the suburb, and if we ring from a mobile 112, then we also need to know a state. Roll forward, no, go forward, and come out, and you're going to come up the board. Lift your legs up. Okay. Level the board up, Don. Okay. And no, just come on the waist, Chris. Drop your head down. Okay. Okay, good. All right, right, Don.
3, 1, 2, 3.
Where is he? Where's Liam, Jamie?
I'm so sorry.
I can't find him anywhere. Where is he?
I killed your son.
No.
What do you mean? Where is he? Don't be silly. Where is he? We have to find him. We can't find him anywhere. Where is he, Jamie?
I'm sorry.
He wasn't meant to be with you. Where is he?
I have to find him. I'm going to go find somebody. I have to go find him.
People go into massive detail that somebody was drunk and they were text driving and they were on their phone and like everything. But I mean, it comes down to as simple as like, oh, look, a bird, and then your car's upside down.
Regular car maintenance can keep you safe, but how many of us actually do it?
How do I open the bonnet?
I have no idea.
Like, I would have no clue.
I think it's somewhere near the petrol one, but I've never opened it before.
I think it's just like next to the ignition, isn't it?
Not a person not being able to open a bonnet, I think, is astounding.
I've never even opened the bonnet before.
The bonnet? I'll tell you how to open it. I can feel the latch, I just can't get it.
I know how to open the bonnet, yeah, but that's only because I've seen it done. How do you open it?
Here we go. And then that goes there. That's that.
I think I was very lucky because my dad sort of taught me from a pretty young age.
That's it. Where's the thingy?
How do you check the oil, Alex?
I don't.
I just thought you know. Do you girls know?
No idea how to check the oil.
Yeah, I don't really know either.
I don't know how to do that either.
Alex?
No.
No? Okay.
Have a guess.
I think, like,
those sort of things. That's not even maintenance of a car. That is just literally keeping a car moving.
What the heck?
That's cool.
I know how to check an oil on the boat. My dad's a fisherman, so I used to go down in the engine room, so I don't know. Hopefully it's not that different. Isn't there like a little, like, I don't know, like metal thing, and it comes out and you see if it's up to that level or not, and then you wipe it and put it back in, and yeah, like the boats.
There's a stick there.
Yeah.
Can you pull that out?
Yes.
Seriously, I'm looking at an engine right now. I don't know anything. I'm pretty sure that's it.
That has to be it.
No, that's not it.
Don't want to break anything in your car.
No, that's all right.
Do you put it down the same hole? Do you?
I don't know.
Me, we pulled over at a petrol station. Dad's like, and now just open the tank. And I'm like, the what? He's like, open the petrol tank. I was like, do I get out and do that? He's like, no, pull the latch. I'm like, what latch?
If you are in the country, you are in the middle of nowhere, in the bush and all that sort of stuff, I think if you're willing to go out that far, you should have a bit of a bit more knowledge on how a car engine works.
Well, hopefully I'd have signal and I could Google it. If not, then hopefully the manual would tell me.
I think it should be a part of the test to say, as well as, you know, here's how you drive, how do you do these things?
I don't know how you would test it. Oh, actually no, it'd be easy to test, just how do you check the oil?
We decided to have a debate on whether the driving test should be harder or easier. Teams prepared to present the point of view they were given with no compromise.
Wait, do you agree? Do you want to make the test harder?
Yes, I agree.
Do you agree that we would make the test harder?
Actually, I don't, but that's all right.
Yeah, I don't either. Don't
I'm
want to
actually
make the test
arguing
harder.
against myself. Yes.
So our argument is that they should make driving tests easier.
Easier.
One of the things we want to do to make the test harder is to add the senior first aid qualification, or gain your senior first aid qualification before you grab your Ps.
The test is really hard already. Why make it harder?
Ambulance people recommend us to have a first aid kit in our car, but what's the point of having one if you don't know how to use it?
I don't think they should make that a necessity of driving. People know basic first aid, hopefully from school. Maybe it is helpful, actually.
How come we don't do our tests at night time? Because people drive at night time.
It was really dark and there were just so many lights in my face, and that concentration level just had to like go through the roof to really focus on, okay, this is my path, stay on my path.
If someone blinds you, what you do is you look towards the curb.
But in this twilight stage, I found that I was kind of like, I could see, but I couldn't see, so I had to concentrate a lot more for the grey cars that would kind of merge in with the road and you couldn't see them at all, because it's still that moment where some people don't have their lights on.
Everybody is going to drive at night time at least once in their life, like when you're driving home from work in the evening or in the early morning. And so we want to challenge drivers to be prepared, to think independently.
We crack under pressure. It's a human thing. Everyone is different. Everyone reacts differently under a test, under pressure, and some might think that it's awesome, some like the pressure, and that's what makes them perform at their best, because they're on edge. But some people will crack.
Extremely nervous. You get really hot. You're just like, I wore a jumper. It was the biggest mistake. I was like sweating so much.
You crack under pressure, you forget everything out the door.
Yeah, which is exactly why we take the...
Making it harder is what's going to make you crack under pressure and forget everything.
Before my test, I had a lesson before my test. I was shocking. So scared, I was shocking. I couldn't reverse into a driveway, couldn't do parallel parking. And then it came to the test, just pulled it all together, and it just all came together and it was all good. And I remember I got pulled up, and then my driving instructor was out the front, and I got out of the car and I was like, oh, I'm just standing there waiting, and he goes, oh, you passed. And I was just jumping up and down, and I gave him a big hug. And then I was so excited, I slammed my thumb in the door.
That driver's test is the only thing that, argues whether you get your license or not. So I think that's hard, and that's why I think it should be easier.
They do crack under pressure. How do you expect them to cope on the roads?
Whether or not you fail or pass the test can actually be very dependent on an assessor.
Yeah, he was very strict.
My assessor was just a cardboard. He was just writing things down, didn't talk, didn't have a conversation at all.
I guess I drew the short straw in getting that assessor. But yeah, he was very strict. But the next time I got a much nicer guy.
So another thing is tricking the driver by not putting on their seatbelt.
It's all a part of the test.
Or another one would be, do we mind doing a U-turn? And obviously the driver is listening to them because they're the one with authority. So they do a U-turn willingly and they fail because you're not supposed to do a U-turn there. How would you make that harder and why would you make that harder?
You should know where to do a U-turn. If you're a good enough driver, you should know where to do the U-turn. It becomes legal. So if it's a part of the test, you should know it prior.
Well, if he's trying to put in little tricks into the test, then it's not fair.
It is fair, because you're meant to know. You're meant to be a good enough driver so that after the test, you can go out on a road by yourself and not kill 12 people in an accident because you do a U-turn wrong.
The debate became a free-for-all. Should the driving test be harder or easier? We'll leave you to decide.
You got the morals of a wild alley cat.
Shame about the driver.
I'm bored. Do you want to take Bunyip for a walk?
Oh my God! Dad and I took him for a walk the other night and we saw a car guy driving in the dark with no lights on.
How did you see him?
Well, it wasn't completely dark. So I looked down the road and I didn't see him. So I started to walk and Dad held me back and then he waved at cool car guy to put his lights on.
Did he put his lights on?
No.
Cool car.
Shame about the driver.
One thing that didn't come up in the debate was the difference between being tested in the country versus the city.
Driving on country roads, it's more quiet, easy, not so busy.
It was quite different driving in the country.
Me and my dad have driven, to Kalgoorlie and all that sort of stuff, and a lot of that is just dirt roads.
Like, I understand there's dangers in the country, like, I don't know, a tree could fall on you, just out of nowhere. You have some other guy driving way too fast and just losing control and crashing into you. There's definitely dangers on the country road, but in the city, I think it's still worse there.
I was glad that I had my parents with me who could actually tell me how to do it.
Kangaroos can jump out. And he said, and sometimes they're just in the middle of the road and you've just got to approach them slowly and you've got to see what they do because they're unpredictable.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I still think that it's probably a lot more dangerous driving in the city than it is in the country. I'm sticking to that opinion.
I'm going to take my test and my lessons in 2J and Northam.
I'd never driven in the city before. When I got my licence, it was just a quick drive around town. And then from there it was, let's get to Perth. So the very next day we went straight down to Perth with mates. And that was my initiation to driving into the traffic at Perth, which I think, in hindsight, is something that maybe could be addressed for country drivers.
Scary driving in the city. I haven't done it yet, but I'm scared too.
Scary.
More cars, more people.
Pretty flat out. Traffic's going to be a big problem for me, and I'm definitely going to want to take someone with me.
It's just as relevant that city people get the experience on the country roads, and I guess that's where a lot of our fatalities actually occur, is out on country roads.
So used to city driving, you don't know how to overtake semi-trailers and road trains.
So I don't really know of the dangers of, or the differences between city and country.
There's a lot of blind corners, there's a lot more wildlife which could interfere with your driving.
Don't want to hit those kangaroos. Yeah, that could be bad. I don't know. It probably is relevant then, definitely to drive on a country road thinking about those things.
Completely different driving on gravel than to bitumen, and lots more accidents can occur when you hit the gravel road.
Right. Okay, I didn't think of that either. I guess that's also another danger. Making myself look like a fool here.
The worst part is when you're in the bush, you're not near a hospital. So you can be riskier for other people's lives.
I've kind of been forced to think about the dangers of a country road. Like, I guess I understand more now than I did before, obviously. Yeah.
So is it worth looking like a fool?
Yeah, kind of. I'd rather look like a fool than a dead fool.
Coming up in part 3, we create a road safety commercial.
Yeah, I can definitely see how a teenager created that.
And debate.
Point is that the roads are designed for small cars and four-wheel drives are just a little bit too big.
You'll get bogged so easily, that's why you need a four-wheel drive.
I guess this was really helpful when I actually did have to call up 000 because of a car crash. I knew what to say. It made me a lot more calm about it. Well, I was driving along behind my dad in a different car, and a car pulled out in front of him, and the car hit him, and I was car right behind him. So that was quite terrifying for a bit. I drove past the crash, so I was clear of it, and then I got out the car and I ran towards it, and even though I was one of the last people on the scene, because I obviously had to park the car, but no one else had actually rung 000 yet, I called 000. I found the day at the fire academy really helpful.
The first question you asked was, Ellie?
What's the nature of the emergency? Because I was actually quite comfortable, I guess, with what they were going to ask me.
Then you need to say you want the fire, ambulance or the police service.
I guess I did find that small comfort in that, knowing kind of what to do. But I found in my panicked state of, oh, what's going on? Like my dad, he's in a car accident and all that kind of stuff. And I didn't know where we were. Because when it happened, there was like that split second of just like, did that really happen? Like, what is this? This kind of stuff doesn't happen.